بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، سيما بقية الله الأعظم، روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Today's topic, pain management, part 3. When we look at our tendency, one of the most primary tendencies we have is comfort, and we need to control that. And the most primary and the most important need we have is also comfort, which we need to seek. From childhood, a person understands that comfort is a major issue in his life. When you look at a child, you will see that he doesn't understand hunger, or he doesn't understand rash or spoiled diapers. But what he does understand is that he's in pain, that he's uncomfortable, and he cries because the issue of comfort is central in his life. Such is the case with us as adults also. Comfort is an important issue that we all must deal with. And when we deal with comfort, then we can deal with all other problems in our life. Problems that have to do with our akhlaq, our ideology, and many other things you see come about because we have learned how to manage comfort in our lives. If this tendency of comfort is left unchecked, it can become cancerous and it can eventually take us down. And one of the most important issues in our life is to manage this issue of comfort on our lives. Now, on the other hand, we can't just get rid of it also, because it's a part of us. It's a part of our nature. So you can't just get rid of comfort. You need comfort. In fact, it is highly recommended for us to seek comfort, the right type of comfort. We need to seek the right type of comfort, and we need to avoid the wrong type of comfort. So in between these two, you have opposing forces that we need to manage. And this is what we call managing comfort in our lives in order to lead a comfortable life. That is our subject, and that's what we are discussing. It's different than having a peace of mind and tranquility and things that a lot of Eastern religions emphasize on. This is different than that, because this comfort is also physical and social and so many other aspects also. It applies. And hence, it's an overall broad definition of what is comfort, not just one aspect of it. Now, one thing that I should say before we go forward is what the Messenger of Allah advised us regarding this subject. He told his companions that, why are you looking for something that doesn't exist in this world? So the companions asked him, what do you mean? What doesn't exist in this world? And he said, the thing that doesn't exist in this world that everyone is running after is absolute comfort. There's no such thing as absolute comfort in this world. Life is going to come with its pain and suffering. Pain and suffering is a natural part of living. It's a natural part of us being a human being. So we need to understand and we need to manage comfort in such a way that in spite of all the problems we have, and in spite of all the difficulties we have in life, we need to see where our comfort zone is and find comfort in any situation that we live in. That is the secret of a good life. Trying to get rid of problems is not. Problems are going to be there. What we need to do is, in spite of all the problems, learn how to manage our comfort in life and control our comfort so that we can still be comfortable in spite of all the problems. The reason this topic is important is because one of the qualities that every companion who was with Imam Hussain shared in Karbala was that they all understood how to deal with comfort in their lives. They were able to find comfort in spite of problems, in spite of pain. Arrows were being thrown at them and they found comfort taking them. They were being killed and they found comfort in their death. They were being tortured. They found comfort in that torture. This is the secret that we want to achieve. Because if you just want comfort when you're okay, that's actually not comfort. You can't just get rid of problems. You have to be looking to make sure that you can manage comfort in spite of all the problems. And that's why it's so important. A person who doesn't know how to manage comfort in his life, it's very difficult for him, in fact impossible for him, to reach the Imam and be a helper of the Imam. If anyone wants to go to Karbala and help Imam Hussain, which is the wish of all of us, any believer, that's the wish that he has, then he must achieve those qualities in life and possess those qualities in life that make him able to go there. And one of those qualities is dealing with the issue of comfort in our life. So let me just now read a few hadiths regarding the encouragement towards comfort, because there is certain comfort that we have said don't go after this, but there's certain places where it's highly encouraged to go after comfort and seek comfort in life. And let's read a few hadiths. For example, from Imam Ali Islam, it is said, Az-zuhdu fi dunya rahatul kubra, that having zuhud in dunya is the greatest comfort. So the greatest comfort is an encouragement that Imam Ali is trying to give us, that you can achieve this. It's like an achievement a prize that he's trying to put forward to us and to entice us with. So it must be something really good that if Imam Ali thinks it's a prize that is worthy of running after, of seeking. In another hadith, Imam Ali says, Man iktasara ala bulghatil kifaf intazama raha. Is that someone who finds what he has in his hands and is happy and contented with what he has and what he possesses in his hands, he will find comfort. So contentment leads to comfort. That's the hadith in short. And here you see another place where Ahlulbayt have encouraged us to seek comfort. It's a prize worth having. It's something valuable. So this encouragement we see is important for us to know that it's something that we should be seeking in life, and that is comfort. We will go more into that as the speeches unfold. Now, on one hand, when we look at people who are religious and those who practice, a lot of people who practice religion, you see that this is one of the issues they have a hard time in. They haven't found comfort in their religion. They did not achieve comfort out of their practice. And in their personal lives also, as well as their work, their business, their social life, and even their faith, they haven't found comfort in any of these things. And because if they did, then they would be in love with religion. They would love deen. They would be running after it. They would be seeking it. And it would show in their face. It would show in the brightness of the smile that they possess. Because when you, for example, find a treasure, you don't look miserable. You don't have a miserable face and an angry face. When you find something that's precious, then you don't look sad finding it. That's the reason deen and comfort in deen is something that's precious. And when a person finds comfort, it will show in his face. You will see him smiling, you will see him excited, you will see him in high spirits because of the fact that he found comfort in his deen. He found comfort, and that comfort translates in every aspect of his life. And if we as Muslims have found comfort in our deen, then you will see everyone else would start becoming Muslim, because that's what they're looking for also. If you see Ahlulbayt and why people were so attracted to Ahlulbayt, it's because of the fact that they were happy in their deen. They found that comfort in their deen, and it showed in their face. The Christians of Najran, when they came for and they did Mubahala, they backed off when they saw Ahlulbayt. Ahlulbayt did not walk out there with halos around their head or a light shining behind their back. But they did have that comfort in their deen, that when these people saw that, and they know that that's what they are seeking and they cannot find it, they saw that and they knew that these people have found that which everyone is looking for. They possess that. So comfort, you see, is something that we need to seek in our deen, in our practice, and in everywhere. That's the sign of a believer. In spite of all the problems we have, it shouldn't be that situations change us. For example, if we are happy, then there's another expression on our face, and if we are sad, then we have a whole different expression on our face. It should not be the case whether we are happy or sad. We should have the same expression. It is said in Hadith, نزلت أنفسهم منهم في البلاء كالتي نزلت في الرخاء. Is that believers, that you will see them, they are the same whether they are in ease or in hardship. It doesn't matter. Situations can change, but you see that their demeanor, that their expression, that their character would be the same. It doesn't change. Their attitude doesn't change because situations change. It doesn't change. That's why you see Imams, all of them had the same character. The only thing that changed were circumstances, but not the Imams. They maintained themselves no matter what happens. So comfort is one of the primary needs of man, and Allah provides the means to attain it. And this is one of the best aspects of a believer's life. So let's go and see about comfort in the words of our Imam. But just one thing I will mention here, and we will see why should we go after comfort. What's the purpose of comfort? What does it do for us? Well, let me just share something right now, and we'll go in detail from tomorrow. What is it that comfort brings about that is so important for us? We have this hadith from Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, Sababul fikr al-faragh. He says that the reason of thinking is comfort. Meaning one of the things that is a benefit of comfort, of you being comfortable and finding comfort, is that you are able to think. That thinking occurs when you are comfortable or in a state of comfort. Now, thinking is different than knowledge, because a lot of people get this confused. Thinking is different than knowledge. Knowledge is something you gain. Someone can gain a lot of knowledge, but it doesn't mean that he can think. And knowledge doesn't take you to faith. It is a thinking that takes you to faith. Knowledge doesn't bring about comfort. It is thinking that brings about comfort and takes you to Allah. Because if knowledge was the standard for Iman and going towards Allah, then Shaitan would be a believer because he has more knowledge than all of us. That's why when you look at Shaitan, you don't see Shaitan having faith. Allah says that he was a kafir with all the knowledge that he had. It's because he wasn't able to think properly. He wasn't able to use his mind, and because he didn't think, that knowledge became useless for him. He wasn't able to make use of that knowledge. Knowledge is just the raw material. It needs to be processed, and the processing takes place in your mind when you're thinking of that. So thinking, in the words of hadith, is known as ibadat. In fact, it's known as the best ibadat and the best worship that a person can do. It is said that a few moments of thinking is better than 100 years of worship and prayer, because that 100 years would not take you close to Allah as opposed to a few minutes of thinking. That's how fast thinking takes you towards Allah and makes you a believer. Thinking is what is needed for us. And thinking in this hadith is saying that the only way that a person is able to think is if he has comfort. If he doesn't have comfort, he cannot think. Person needs to have comfort. A person who doesn't have comfort, then he's in a state of discomfort. He's in a state of pain. And now the mind is not working as a true thinking. Now the mind is just preoccupied with the problems that he's in, the issues that are happening to him, what's going on with him. Certain people cannot think. Let me tell you those people. Who are people who are unable to think? They cannot use their mind. They cannot think, even though they think that they're thinking that they're thinking, but they're not thinking. They're preoccupied with things. The first group of people who are unable to think are people who are constantly listening. People who constantly are listening cannot think because they are being fed. They are listening to something. They cannot use their mind. People who are constantly watching something. If you are watching TV, you can't think. It doesn't happen because your mind is occupied by being input with this information that you're getting. So your mind is not thinking. You see, thinking cannot occur with anything else. It has to be isolated. It has to be independent of everything. That's how thinking occurs. You can't just say that, I was doing this and I was thinking at the same time. That's not thinking. That's just being occupied with ideas. That's not thinking. That's just being occupied with thoughts. That's not thinking. Thinking requires its own time and its own place that's dedicated just for thinking. You can't say that, I'm working out and having lunch at the same time. It doesn't work. Another group that is unable to think are people who are constantly talking. People who talk all the time, they cannot think because they are preoccupied with talking. For people who are constantly socializing. If you're socializing If you're on chat and socializing with people on Facebook or any other place, then you cannot think because you're occupied with socializing. You cannot think at that time. And this is the reason that a lot of us haven't ever spent the time thinking. And thinking can only occur when there's comfort. And because we are uncomfortable, then you're not actually thinking. Your mind is preoccupied with your problems. That's all it is. You're just preoccupied with your problems and you think that you're thinking. And you use these terms as, I am deep in thought. No, you're not deep in thought. You're deeply preoccupied with your problems. That's what it is. And unfortunately, we think that we are using our mind and we are not using our mind. Mind needs to be trained like a muscle needs to be trained. When you start off, you see that your muscles are rusted and you need to start off lightly. You can't just start thinking right away because you haven't used it. This is one of the things that is a benefit of comfort, and it also leads to comfort, which I will explain tomorrow. But this is why it's important for us to think in order that it can give us comfort also. Now, one of the ways I'll just mention today that gives us comfort, because it's the month of Muharram, and I just want to mention 5 things a believer should do in the month of Muharram. When it comes there, 5 things that every Mu'min should do when it comes to the month of Muharram. And this is an advice for all of us in this month as it has started. The first thing, if you haven't done it, next year probably you'll get the chance to do that. And that is a person should fast on the first day of Muharram. Fasting on the first day of Muharram is very important. Second, mourning for Imam Hussain. A person should mourn for Imam Hussain. Crying for him. It is said that it will wipe out the most severest sins if a person cries for Imam Hussain. He should do this as much as he can in the month of Muharram. Number 3, ziyarat of Imam Hussain. A person, as much as he can, ziyarat Ashura, any ziyarat of Imam Hussain, just read the ziyarat of Imam Hussain, and it's just said that if a person wants to meet Allah without any sins, then he should do the ziyarat of Imam Hussain. Number 4, he should say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum fa'afuda fawdan adhima. How I wish I was with you and I would have died with you and I would have gained that great success that you have gained. He should constantly say this. This is what we say in the ziyarat of the shuhada, the last line of that. You see, repeat that often. In this month of Muharram, repeat it often and have this wish and increase this wish in your heart. And the 5th thing that he should do is that he should go and visit Imam Hussain a lot. What does that mean? He should go to the zikr of Imam Hussain, the Majlis of Imam Hussain, as much as he can, repeatedly and often. Go there. And once you do go there, and if you do go to the Majlis of Imam Hussain, then look at yourself deeply. See yourself deeply in all the majlises that you have gone. Go a lot first, and then ask yourself this question. Are you tired of listening about Imam Hussain? Did you have enough? Did you had enough? Can you tell Bibi Fatima that I had enough of Hussain? I heard too much, and I'm like full of him. Are you tired of listening to Imam Hussain? Ask yourself that. And if the answer is no, that you're not tired of listening to Imam Hussain, then say, Allahumma lakal hamdu hamd shakirin. Oh Allah, I thank you. I thank you from the depth of my heart. A thankfulness that people who are truly appreciative give this thanks. that you have brought us to Hussain. This love of Hussain and this expression of the love of Hussain will make you calm. You will see this whenever you cry for Hussain. You find a calmness that comes over you. It overwhelms you. In spite of the mourning, you feel happy. You feel a joy. This joy that comes, that brings about this comfort in you. It's not ironic. It's not contradictory. It is perfect answer. It is the perfect ending of finding comfort. And this is what we do when we see that. And if that crying makes you arrogant and proud, don't worry. Whenever you get arrogant or proud, just think about the orphaned children of Hussain and their crying when they are being abused. Think about that. And then you will see that it is not the same. It will break you down. It will break down your arrogance. And then you realize, why am I arrogant when Hussain has gone through so much? When he has been crushed, when his children have been abused, and they cry like refugees and they're treated like refugees, how can I become arrogant? You will see that there won't be any arrogance in you. You will start crying and it just melts away. And yes, you become humble. And that humility and that comfort that comes about you. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the blessing and the tawfiq to be on the right path, the wisdom to understand His guidance, hasten the reappearance of our Imam, make us His helper when He comes. Wa akhir ad-da'wana and alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Bismillah.